Hey, welcome back to another episode of Compliance Clips with your hosts, Rick Morgan, that guy, and myself, John Farquhar. And today we've got Michael Robinson with us. So we're going to let Michael tell you who he is and what he does and where he works. And then we'll have some fun with some conversation. Michael, thanks for joining us. Give us a little background on you.
John, thank you for having me. Rick, again, thank you as well. I really appreciate being here, and it's super exciting to kind of spend some time with you guys today. So Michael Robinson, as you already mentioned, so currently working at C.A.T, been there for about 5 years, and I'm the VP of Safety, Compliance and Driver Development, which is an umbrella of quite a few things. I get to oversee the recruiting and the retention at C.A.T North America as well. I started my career in trucking as a driver, actually as a driver trainee, of course, because we're all there at some point, and was a great company to learn how to drive a truck and eventually get to teach people how to drive a truck. And then I found myself in the safety world, and spent the last dozen years really concentrating on safety, compliance, recruiting and retention. So that's how I got to where I was today, and really enjoy what we do here.
Oh, awesome. Well,
he's kind of a bigwig.
He is. You should see him in person.
How did you manage to get this invitation? Did you pay him? Oh, those Tim cards you took from me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Carry on.
Well, and I did kiss up in my email, so there was no doubt about that. So yeah, we're little guys compared to what Michael is, so we're laughing. Anyway, as we know, we're kind of jumping on a little mini series here of driver retention, recognition, obviously. So I guess let me ask this: did you guys adopt a recognition type program, or did you build something from the ground up internally to work for your guys?
So it's a really good question, and we've kind of done a mix of both. So in the past, before my time at C.A.T, we'd used a program that had worked fairly well at the time, and I think there was a series of 16 different modules that they had to follow. I believe it was the Ray Hyatt program, and it was very good and encompassed what C.A.T was doing at the time when it was just one company. And over the last few years, we've done a number of acquisitions. We've found growth organically and through acquisitions, and then with me being on board, I'd say 2.5 years ago, I was given the opportunity to take on retention and a retention program throughout C.A.T and a group of companies. And honestly, I've got to say, I thought it was going to be easier than what it ended up being. Engagement at the beginning was, I stumbled for sure. And I had a great plan. I'd sat down with a team of people and we'd worked through everything that we were going to do. And we actually named our program. It was really important for us to name our program, and we called it the Red Thread program. And the idea behind that is it's C.A.T, as you know, is red. We have red trucks. We have red in our logo. So we used the name, the color of red, and then the thread is kind of the idea behind it is it is entangled throughout every department and every company. Now, I'll take you back a couple of 100 years. Back in the Navy in Britain, they used to put a red thread within the rope, and the ropes got stolen a lot from the ships, and the Navy actually had a red thread that went through it, so you couldn't untangle that and take that out, and otherwise it'd all fall apart. And that was the idea behind this: is if we can actually put this within every company, through every department, you cannot just untangle this. It can't just go away, because a lot of programs just go away. So we had a name, we had an idea. We had people with lots of experience in driving a truck and being drivers on the road and knowing what they're going to face. And we had a corporate team. And I was able to put a presentation together with some goals and KPIs and then present it to the corporate team. And I slotted in, if I recall rightly, it was a 90-minute meeting. So we had the CFO there, the VP of operations, of VP of maintenance, and everybody who is anybody at C.A.T North America was around this table. My presentation went on for about 15 minutes and the meeting was over 5 minutes after that. And I was absolutely devastated. I was like, I didn't get the engagement that I was looking for. So realized that, hey, what we had done, what we had thought we'd built was not necessarily palatable for everybody. So let's kind of rethink it. A couple of weeks later, we went back to the table, and we got the engagement we were looking for, and it just flew. We had people that would normally go and sit with a driver and have a coffee with them, going to ask them questions and coming back and talking about certain drivers and their families and just stuff and that was the whole idea. It doesn't matter what you do for a living under the C.A.T umbrella. Let's talk to our drivers. Let's retain information about them so we can retain them as drivers and make it better. So from there we launched it. We got some drivers around the table, of course. Grabbed some great ideas from there. And what we found, there was a couple of one of the ideas behind this program was we will try anything, and if it doesn't work, let's scrap it early and try again on something different. One of the things we did was measure ourselves as a company and as leaders within a company, and made sure that we held ourselves accountable. And I find, again, you can have a great retention program or part of a retention, because there's lots of things inside that program, and it's a really good idea. In 3 months it worked great, but somebody left, or we just didn't get to it. So we used Microsoft SharePoint automation that actually told us when to check in with certain drivers, how to kind of evaluate who they were, what issues they were having, and then we decided to get people from every single department within the company to actually touch base with new drivers as they came through our training program. So that's kind of how we launched this. And it was measuring ourselves and holding ourselves accountable was where we really, I think, took that step into how do we get better and get in there.
Right. Well, and that's cool, because I think that's a key component that a lot of people don't consider is you need to measure everybody in the program, everybody who touches the program, right from the top down. And I think too many people just think, oh, it's just for drivers. That's all it is. It's just for drivers. When no, there's so many integral parts. And then the second of what you were talking about that I really loved was, hey, it didn't work the first time we pitched it. Let's go back to the drawing board, work on it again, and then keep tweaking it as we go along to make it better. But I love the fact that we've got to get buy-in from senior management in order for this to be successful.
Yep.
So just a question, Michael, as you go through explaining that, and as you know, you're following up our interview with Jane Jazari from Best Fleets to Drive For. You launched this initiative where you engaged from the top to the bottom. So, to use the overused phrase, we got buy-in from the top and we went right down to the frontline folks, which is kind of like rule number one if you want to have a program succeed. Was it that first year when you won the Best Fleet Grand Prize, or was it further down the road after your program had been rolling out for a bit?
So our first year in that program, which was essentially our first year we rolled out our Red Thread program, we won Fleet to Watch, and we had a plan that within 3 years we wanted to be in the top 20, and within 5 years we'd like to win the grand prize. We were very lucky to win the grand prize on the second year after being Fleet to Watch. The program had been rolled out maybe 18 months to 20 months by the time we'd sat down and done our Best Fleets interview again, and it was a very exciting time to be able to speak about the Red Thread and what we had achieved, and then it was that year that we was awarded overall largest carriers Best Fleets.
So I think one of the most difficult things has got to be that transition from the current state of management and supervisor relations to driver to where you took it, to where they felt like they're obviously a part of the organization. They feel like they're contributing to what's happening in their workspace. Can you share some of your secret magic tips with our audience if they want to emulate your incredible results?
Of course, communication is definitely up there. No relationship works without it, of course, and that's what we did. We helped educate everybody, and frontline is very important, whether it's a safety professional, whether it's a team manager from the operations team, whether it's a mechanic. There are frontline people who will speak with our drivers more often than anybody else, and we needed to get them on board no matter what. And And they were it was actually quite an easy transition. This is what we want to do. They like relationships with drivers. They don't want to see new drivers coming in. So it was a very easy transition to say, hey, this is our program, buy into it. And because we had buy-in from not just our ownership, of course, that was very easy to get. Then our corporate team, which we got there, easily in the end. And then it was that middle management team, the supervisors and the managers, that was the bigger conversations and getting them more involved. And all they wanted to do was help. How do I become an ambassador? How do I become a friend on the road? Whatever that looks like. And the programs we rolled out, they just wanted to be a part of it. So I think it was an easy transition from communicating the program we were rolling out, and for them to be a part of it. We included them, and that was key, including them in that message for the drivers. And we got to a point, we wanted to get to a point, and it never happened because we superseded it, that where a driver would come in, someone would be like, hey, not maybe communicate with them as well as they could, and the driver say, that wasn't very red thread of you to do that. And we that was our goal. If we can get to a driver really speaking about this program, then everyone will be good with it. And we superseded that because people just wanted to be involved. They wanted to be a part of the program.
So out of curiosity, did you measure the objective effect on your retention?
Absolutely, we did. We couldn't have kicked it off without that. And we had a number of KPIs, obviously, to reduce the retention. The turnover number was our first and ultimate KPI, and how we were going to make that work. We kind of put KPIs in it. But yeah, so we had within 24 months, the idea was to reduce the retention by 50%. And we were lucky enough to supersede that. I believe we reduced it by 58% within that first 12 months. But we had to measure where the problem was. We measured which group of drivers were leaving. So what we found was within our first 90 days was probably our biggest group of drivers. So how do we fix that? And that's where we came up with programs to really concentrate on our first 90 days. And then our next part was 12 to 18 months was another part that we needed to concentrate on now. And then, of course, we concentrate in that area. So as soon as we realized where the issue was, and not just a department or not just a single problem, hey, I want more money, hey, I want more miles, we're all going to say that. Where are most people leaving? And then let's not necessarily find out why, but let's fix how we communicate to our drivers on what they can do better in that time, and what our team managers and our safety professionals and our mechanics can do for the drivers in that period of time as well. And that's where we really focused.
So are there any formal recognition components in the program that you put together that the red thread philosophy promotes with your drivers?
Yeah, we have quite a few actually. So we just finished this year using Isaac. So we use Isaac as our ELD provider. So they have a component called Isaac Coach, which really helps our drivers with their fuel mileage, not over speeding and over accelerating. And there's a number of components. So we rebuilt our incentive program around that for safety and engagement to our drivers, and by doing that, we lent on Isaac a lot to kind of educate us and our drivers on certain things, and we worked with them to build those parameters. So we have an incentive program now, and I believe a driver can earn with that program that we just changed up to 8 cents extra a mile, which again is it's a lot. And I understand that a smaller company may not be able to do that, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be grand at 8 cents a mile. You know what it needs to be? It needs to be recognized. And that recognition doesn't actually have to cost anything. I'm proud of what we pay our drivers extra as an incentive, but we also do programs that are just a shake of the hand and saying thank you for what you do for us. You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be money for a smaller company or even a mid-sized company that just, you know, we know how the market is now. Just like being able to just recognize who you are. One of the saddest things that happened to me was a driver called me, and we're going back a little while now, but a driver called me and he's like, "Hi, my name is," and gave me his truck number. And I just felt so sad that that's how he needed to present himself. Now, I spent a dozen years in the military where I was a number. And then I then joined a trucking company where I am a truck number, but it still strikes me as odd and sad that would happen. And that was something that we had to change. So just recognizing drivers.
All right, and we're going to take a break at this point. This is our second interview in our recognition series where we explore how carriers can deliver meaningful results operationally, in safety, and financially by developing a recognition program for and with their drivers. Be sure to join us for part 2, where we explore the outcome of C.A.T's Red Thread program, which include a 58% reduction in turnover, a 30% reduction in crash frequency, and more. Net result, over $1 million in reduced expenditures. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for listening. Compliance Clips is a joint production of Summit Risk Solutions and Links Consulting. Thanks so much for being with us today. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you in our next release. Take care.